Hey, everybody, thank you for joining me. I am your host and transformational coach, Coach G, and I give it to you straight with no chaser because this podcast is designed with all of us in mind to help us build a better version of ourselves, brick by brick. And today, we're going to lay a few bricks down. We're going to look at the mirror on the wall. You ever looked in the mirror for that last minute check before you walked out the door, and all of a sudden, it's like you catch this glimpse of something that's not right, something you missed? Maybe it was your eyelash wasn't just sitting right, or maybe your lip gloss wasn't glossing. Maybe you um, chose a tie in the dark, or you just chose a tie and it didn't match the outfit that you had on. Or maybe your collar was crooked, anything. But in that tiny pause, think about it. In that tiny pause, the mirror didn't just show you your reflection, it showed you the truth. And many of us, we know the story about the queen in Snow White every day. She stood in front of the mirror asking for validation. She was asking for reassurance. And she wanted to hear what she wanted to hear. She wanted to hear that she was the prettiest person, she was the fairest person, she was the smartest, she was the most accomplished. She wanted to hear the version of herself that she preferred to hear. But this is the thing about mirrors. The mirrors, they don't bend. It wasn't uh, going to stroke her ego. It didn't care about her crown. It didn't care about her title. It just told the truth, even when the truth bruised her pride. And that's the beauty about mirrors. They reflect what is not what we want to see. There comes a point in life where the mirror stops being a place you check your hair, and it starts being a place where you check your authenticity. And that's really what today is about, not the mirror. It's not about the let me make sure I look presentable. I'm talking about the mirror that shows you the truth you've been avoiding about yourself, the mirror that doesn't care about excuses or your intentions. It doesn't care about your childhood traumas. It doesn't care about how much money you have in the bank, what kind of car you drive. It doesn't care about the name brand clothes you wear to look good and look like you're on top of your game. What the mirror says is, the mirror says, no, no, baby, this is you. This is who you've been. This is who you are. This is what you've done. This is what you've allowed. And the thing about this particular type of mirror is it doesn't lie. We do. We lie to ourselves every day. We downplay when we do something wrong, whether that's not honoring ourselves or respecting other people. We'll justify something we know was wrong by saying something like we'll make an excuse and we'll say, "Well, I was trying to help. I was only trying to help, and they just overreacted." We justify our patterns of behavior because we say we were hurt as a child. So it was our wounds manifesting, right? We call our pride standards, our ego confidence, our avoidance peace. And we call being naive love. But the mirror, the mirror doesn't play those mind games. The mirror is the one place where your spirit, your instincts, and your lived experiences all sit down with you together and say, we need to talk. And so that's what we're doing today. Because at some point, you have to stop running from the truth of who you are. not who you want to be, not who you pretend to be, not who you used to be, who you are right now in this very moment that you're listening to this podcast, in this chapter and this season of your life. And let's be clear, facing the truth can be hard. It's no cakewalk in the park. It's not uh, a self care Sunday with candles and soft music and some incense or fragrance candles burning in the background. Sometimes it feels like a gut punch to your ego, but it's necessary because you can't heal what you refuse to acknowledge. You can't grow past what you keep defending. And you can't change and grow while you're holding on to the broken versions of yourself because it's comfortable or because it feels safe. So come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the moments when we were wrong. Not wrong, but not wrong because you were just wrong. It's hard to admit when we mess up. I know this. I've been there, done that, got t-shirt and keychain. We'll twist ourselves into knots before we admit that it was us, it was you that dropped the ball. Pride will have you out there acting like you didn't see the signs, like you didn't hear the person's tone, like you didn't know any better, or like you forgot to read the room. And ego has a way of helping you rewrite history to make yourself out to be this hero in every situation. But the truth is, sometimes you were the villain. You were the one who dropped the ball. You didn't listen. You didn't communicate well. And a lot of times, truth be told, you didn't care enough to even try to do better or to try to be better because of your ego, because of your pride. And I want you to see this not as a rebuke, because that's not what it is. I want you to see this as an opportunity for change, as a beginning of self awareness. Because the moment you can say honestly, yeah, that was me. I did that. I contributed to their pain. I allowed myself to fall into that trap because I ignored the signs. You open up a level of freedom that pride could never give you because pride keeps you stuck. It keeps you from accepting accountability. That same accountability that can set you free. For some of us, we have been negative as long as we can remember. We are always the victims instead of the victors. We walk into a room and we're negative. We're expecting disappointments. We go into a relationship expecting betrayal, expecting the relationship to fail. We started new jobs expecting chaos. And then we wonder what's going on when it actually happens. See, what we need to understand is we are creators. We create the atmosphere. And uh if we're heavy, then the atmosphere is going to be heavy. If we're Debbie Downers, then that's what we're going to create. And sometimes the heaviness isn't life. It's the lens you're looking through. And the mirror will show you that. The mirror will say, you're not tired of life. You're tired of carrying the weight of your own unhealed patterns, of your own unhealed, unregulated thoughts and behaviors. I recently took a position with the company that I work for. And one of the first things that tried to take hold of me was fear for so many reasons. All the what ifs started trying to flood in. But what I did was I immediately said to those thoughts, absolutely not. I will learn. I will be successful. I will make a difference. I had to stop those negative thoughts in their tracks and create a positive atmosphere for me to be able to flourish. Now, let's talk about being naive because being naive feels innocent. It feels pure. It feels like love. But if we look in the mirror, we will see that is sometimes just willful blindness. Sometimes it's ignoring what people have shown you because you want to believe they aren't who they've shown you they are. People will show you who they are. They will prove to you over and over and over that they can't be trusted. And so the mirror will ask you, why do you keep giving chances to someone who has given you warning after warning? Warning after warning that they can't be trusted. And the answer usually isn't about them per se. It's about you. It's about the part of you that has this need to be chosen. That part of you that wants to be the exception to the rule of uh they're not your homegirl or they're not your homeboy, so it doesn't really matter. It's that part of you that thought your love could rewrite someone else's character. That the way you are, the caring, loving person that you are, the conscientious person that you are, would change who they are. And I want you to know they are who they are. They're not going to change. They're not going to change. And here's the thing, the mirror doesn't let you hide behind excuses. The mirror says, uh, you saw it, you felt it, you knew it, and you stayed anyway. Why? And when you can sit with that question long enough, you start to see the patterns. You start to see the places where your heart was louder than your discernment. And you start to see where your hope for something you wanted, was louder than your boundaries. And you start to see where your spirit was whispering no all along, but you were so lonely that your loneliness convinced you of a maybe it can happen. Then you have some people who blame every job for the same identical problems. Every boss is micromanaging. Every coworker is messy. Every environment is toxic. And while sometimes that might be true, you have to look at the common denominator. You. Sometimes you're the one who doesn't communicate well. You're the one who doesn't speak up because you don't like conflict. You're the one who takes things personal. You want the title, but you don't want the responsibility. You just want to bark orders. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you are a pastor. I don't care if you're the bishop, CEO of a company, a manager, a group leader, whatever your profession. If you look that mirror straightforward, if you look at it and you really listen, it will tell you you want the elevation, but you don't want accountability. You want recognition, but you don't want to be corrected. And that mirror can be it can be real loud, especially at home because home is usually where your patterns show up raw and unfiltered. Home is where your true tone shows up. It's where your patience runs out. It's where your unresolved childhood wounds starts parenting your children instead of a healthy adult. It's where your silence becomes a weapon. And a lot of us women, we know we can get silent. We will go mute in a heartbeat. If you have a partner, they see that version of you that the world never sees. And this is when the mirror will ask you, are you loving people the way you think you are? Or are you loving them the way you wish someone had loved you? Because those two things are not the same. Relationships are the most honest reflection of who we are. They show us our triggers. They show us our insecurities. They show us our attachment styles. They show us our communication habits, our emotional maturity, or the lack thereof. And the mirror will say, do you want love? Or do you want control? Do you want a partner? Or do you just want validation that's based on people's assessment of you because you have a husband or a wife or a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Do you want connection or do you want comfort? And if you're brave enough to answer honestly, you'll start to see the places where you've been sabotaging your own happiness. But here's the thing, this isn't about shame. This isn't about beating yourself up. This is about truth. It's about being honest. And truth is the foundation of our transformation. You can't build a new life on top of lies, whether that lie uh, is to others or if the lies are to yourself. You can't grow into your next level while clinging to the version of yourself that was built for survival and not for purpose. The mirror is not your enemy. The mirror, self reflection, is your teacher. The mirror is your guide. It's the place where your spirit says, I love you too much to let you stay the same. And so today, this is what I want you to do. I want you to stand in front of that mirror for me. No, I want you to stand in front of that mirror for yourself. And this is not the physical mirror. This is that self-reflection mirror, that internal mirror. And I want you to ask yourself, who am I when no one is watching? Who am I when I'm disappointed? Who am I when I'm wrong or when I'm afraid, when I'm loved or when I'm challenged? Who am I when I'm beginning to uh, feel like people want to hold me accountable? Because those answers will tell you everything you need to know about your next chapter. Growth looks like admitting you were the problem, apologizing without defending yourself, walking away from people you love because you finally love yourself more. And sometimes growth looks like coming to the realization that you can't trust certain people anymore and you need to set boundaries. and you need to start rebuilding, even if that rebuilding is from scratch. Because in the end, it will have all been worth the pain in being honest. Because on the other side of that mirror, on the other side of self reflection, is a version of you that is wiser, that is softer, that is stronger and more grounded, more discerning, more honest, more aligned with your purpose. A version of you that doesn't need to pretend, a version of you that doesn't need to perform, a version of you that doesn't need to shrink or overinflate yourself. A version of you that can look in the mirror and say, I know who I am. You won't be defined by who you were, but by who you choose to become. And that mirror, the mirror is just the beginning. So honor your spirit. Step into that version of you that's been waiting on you to show up on the other side of honesty. Hey, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining me this morning or whenever you're viewing this podcast episode of Mirror on the Wall. And if you have found value in the things I've shared with you today, please hit the like button and subscribe. It doesn't cost a thing. Also, remember to leave a comment. Doesn't have to be long. I just want to know that you're there and that what you have to say is important. And until next time, mirror, mirror on the wall, show me me, show me truth, show me growth, show me freedom. And may I have the courage to look. That's it. That's all.